Hey guys, I'm Harrison, and I'm back once again for a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode 9 of the online race of the Formula 1 2013 online multiplayer content featuring real-life Formula 1 topics worth talking about. Now, let's be real here, people. This is probably going to be the biggest set of rule changes to impact the sport in some time. One of them is, there was three major things that have been announced. One of them isn't really a big deal. The other two are massive deals, one which generally seems to be well received by Formula 1 fans, the other one largely panned and hated. We'll talk about them in order. Let's get the kind of relevant one out of the way. Drivers now get to choose personal numbers. Sebastian Vettel, because he won the championship last year, gets first pick. You can now choose any number between 1 and 99 to put on the front of your car. I'm hearing Seb will retain the number 1 plate. Only the champion gets to choose the number 1. Everyone else gets to choose 2 to 99, and the champion doesn't have to have the number 1 if he doesn't want to. I like this move. It's a nice little thing there. I must admit, drivers are more known or recognisable by their helmets, in my opinion. But, you know, it can't hurt for the teams merchandise-wise to have some numbers on the front of their gear instead. It's a nice touch. It might work out for the teams from a financial standpoint, which is pretty cool as well. So, yeah, I think overall, I think that's a pretty nice move. I'd like to see what numbers these guys come out with as well. Because it shows a bit of character and a bit of a number. Like Valentino Rossi has the 46, Jorge Lorenzo has the 99, Marquez has the 93. You get what I'm saying. So that one's kind of cool, but doesn't really make a massive difference in the grand scheme of things. Here's the two big ones. First off, the good news. There's going to be a budget cap. Hooray! I absolutely love this move. I've been wanting to see a budget cap in Formula 1 for years and years and years, and now it will finally happen. Something had to be done about the spending habits of the big teams in Formula 1. It was getting ridiculous, where teams would be spending hundreds of millions of dollars on their cars and on their team every year, giving the smaller teams absolutely no chance to give up. No chance to catch up, I should say. They don't have to give up anyway. But the thing is that next season they're going to look at how the teams spend money, and then they'll use that data next year to determine a budget cap. Overall, I think this is a really good move, because we casual fans constantly bitch about Formula 1 not being competitive enough, and it's always the same guys always winning. This has a chance of opening up the field a little bit more, because it gives every team, money providing, an equal chance of being able to win and develop their cars over the course of a season. It reminds me a lot of the NFL and NBA systems when it comes to using caps, and those sports, generally speaking, are very competitive. The NFL, I'd argue, is the most competitive sport in the world. It's the only sport where you can have a completely different set of teams make the playoffs every year, because every team... Because basically the NFL is kind of socialist. It splits the revenue amongst themselves, kind of like Formula 1 to a small degree. The teams make their own money, obviously, from marketing in Formula 1, but the main revenue that the Formula 1 makes goes back amongst the teams, but it's not equal. The top team gets the highest amount of money, and that moves on and on as you go down. I think Caterham actually gets 0 for finishing in 11th place in the Constructors this year. But in the NFL, all the teams get paid an equal amount, and they all get the same draft picks. A draft pick for every one of the 7 rounds of the NFL draft, and the pick order is dependent on how well you did the previous year. So teams that did worse are given the best chance of winning the next year and coming back into the league next year because they have the stronger draft pick. So, for example, if you have the worst record in the NFL, if you were a 2-14 team last season, you'll get the number 1 pick the following year if you would have had the worst record in the league. I love that because it makes the sport more competitive. I'm not sure whether a straight-up hard cap will work. I like the idea of the NBA salary cap, where they have a soft cap, and then you get a luxury tax on anything extra you spend. So it forces teams to think if they want to overspend, whether they want to take the financial penalty. For example, if Kobe Bryant was signing a deal that was worth $50 million a year, they'd go over their cap, and they'd have to pay tax on the amount that was over. If you want to know a little bit more about this, I highly recommend you go on Wikipedia and look up how these things work. But I think a cap could really work. The only issue is what that cap number is going to be, can all the teams afford to utilise all of the cap, and will there be any loopholes in the sport? Because let's be real here, this is Formula 1, teams look for ways to bend the rules. This is Formula 1, it happens every single year, where teams will always find a way to push the envelope in their favour. So will that work? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking forward to it. On paper, it's a really great concept, and it takes some of the power away from the top teams who we like to constantly moan about having too much power and too much influence. I mean, I even had a friend of the show, Ryan King, tell me that basically Ferrari can veto any Bernie Ecclestone successor. That's how crazy the power struggle can be in Formula 1 sometimes. And like I said, we as fans like it when things are unpredictable. We all loved the first half of the 2012 season when we had 7 different winners in the first 7 races from 6 different teams. People love that, and I'm sure we'd have a better chance of that happening again. I know it was kind of lightning in a bottle, but there's a better chance of having a more spread out and more competitive field over the course of the season with more chops and changes if everybody has the same amount of money to spend. It also forces teams to be able to develop in a certain way and be smart with their money, which I think is definitely a good thing, and will reward teams with better management skills. Now that move I think is going to be universally liked. The one that's universally been disliked is that from next season onwards, 2014, the final race of the season, in next season's case Abu Dhabi, will be scored for double points. So basically there will be 50 points given for the race winner in Abu Dhabi, 36 points for second, so that's 18 times 2, 30 points for third, and so on and so forth, and 2 points for 10th. So double points throughout the field on the final Grand Prix of the season. Now, the FIA's reason for this was that they wanted to keep the championship as exciting as possible all the way down to the final race. I can roughly translate that corporate bullshit into, we want to make sure Sebastian Vettel doesn't win. Because that's the only reason why they brought this rule in. There's no common sense to this rule. It's a horrible, horrible rule. I think it's one of the worst that Formula 1 has ever implemented. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Sebastian Vettel fan, because if Vettel is a dominant champion in the end, a change in the scoring system is not going to change a damn thing, unless you made it so that second place scores the most points. What was wrong with the old scoring system that made it worth changing? I actually liked the 25-point system because it gave you more credit for a race win over the old system where it was 10-8-6, and you could only gain 2 points on a title rather if you won. I like the fact that having a win was more valuable than, you know, just coming second every time or coming in third every time. You know, it made wins valuable, and it made teams go for it more often, and that's what I liked. I liked that the points totals were more spread out. I think it made good sense. So I don't see why that was worth changing. I mean, look at it this way. Here's some stats. Only 3 of the last 20 championships would have changed their world champion if there was a double point system in place. One of them would have been Felipe Massa in 2008. Another one would have been Fernando Alonso last season in 2012. He would have won the world championship if it weren't for having, you know, regular points rather than the double point system. And 5 of the last 8 championships have gone down to the final race anyway. So why did it warrant changing? You have a better than average chance a championship goes down to the wire anyway. We don't need any fake drama or any fake competition to put in just to give the other teams a chance or just to make things unpredictable. Because by doing this, the FIA has actually devalued every other race on the calendar. And these are some great races in Silverstone, Spa, Monaco, Monza. Great races are now automatically devalued and worth less because it's not as important as Abu Dhabi, the final race of the year. This could also force teams to be more conservative around tracks like Brazil, the second to last race on the calendar, so they can give the last race everything they've got. And we don't like it when things are conservative in Formula 1. We like it when these guys are pushing. We like seeing these guys at their maximum. Nobody gets excited or hyper when a radio engineer says, "Oh, guys, let's look after the tyres. Let's make sure these tyres are okay. Watch the rear. You know, we don't want any delaminations." Friggin' Pirelli. But you get my point. We don't like things like this, and this is just artificial drama to make the championship more exciting, and it seems to be papering over the cracks of bigger problems in Formula 1. Why not fix the overtaking problem? Why not have it so that dirty air doesn't exist anymore? Fix the downforce issues. Get rid of this artificial passing with DRS and KERS. Get rid of that, fix the downforce problem, and maybe we'll have some more exciting racing, rather than trying to put in fake drama by adding gimmicks to a World Championship. I don't get why Bernie Ecclestone is trying so hard to turn Formula 1 into the 1980s WWF, where we have to have gimmick matches and everything. Next week on Raw, Sebastian Vettel will face Fernando Alonso in a lumberjack match. The lumberjacks will all be divas, and they'll all be holding steel chairs. That'll make Formula 1 more exciting. It's the same thing here. It's as ridiculous as when Bernie Ecclestone was talking about putting sprinklers in Formula 1. Fucking sprinklers! It's so stupid, and I don't see why this rule needs to be there. It's absolutely ridiculous. But let me know what you guys have to say, because again, you guys are always good for these opinions. I'd love to hear what you guys think, as ever. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This turned into a little bit of a rant, but I think overall you'll probably end up enjoying it anyway. In the meantime, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and sayonara.